We're live, guys, September 3rd. And yesterday, another blow-off top rally. It was pretty insane, actually. And today looks like the first down day here since we basically started this podcast. Weekly jobless claims just came out. I don't even know what they are. I guess we're waiting on them. And, Dad, I guess let's just see what they are here.
Yeah, I don't think they've come out yet. But it looks like a pretty big reversal day today. I was reading something that Apple's volume yesterday in the opening hour was the highest ever, even pre-split. And, that's a good indication of a reversal. That stock was up over $3 pre-market, and, it just went down on the opening $3. So that was something to keep an eye on. Tesla is down now from the top 22%.
Great job on that short, Dad. I feel like you really nailed that.
Yeah, except I covered it too early, but at least I was on the right side of that one.
Oh, did you cover the entire thing?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's 45 points lower today.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy.
But, down 22% in 3 days, it shows you how quickly these big names can fall after a big run-up. And, a lot of people get caught in them late. I don't know, what were the jobless? 881 versus 950 expected.
So they were better than expected.
Yeah, the market's rallying a little bit off that. But, it feels like we're NASDAQ at least is trying to have some kind of sell-off.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, when you're looking at a stock like Tesla, obviously I know we've talked about how much they've gone on a run and how low they can come. But I mean, I was looking at it this morning and I'm like, oh man, is this finally an opportunity to get into Tesla? Like I've been on the sidelines, but I don't quite think it is. It's just interesting how quickly that stock's already corrected. And if you compare it to, what happened with Netflix a couple months ago, this was the time to get in before it ultimately went way higher. I know that's a completely different story. But
just to give you an example, there was one analyst, I think yesterday or the day before, he raised this price target from like 185 to 191, and left his sell recommendation. So there's plenty of room before you decide to get in this thing for a real correction. I mean, the chart tells me you could go down easily to 335, even lower, 300, as a place to think about. I don't think I would touch it before that.
Yeah, I guess you could make the case that there's been no correction at all, almost just a pause, even though it's been a 20% pullback. Just when you look at this chart, it's insane.
300 is still the old 1500, which is,
it's definitely a good point. And then I saw Beyond Meat got another upgrade this morning, Mike. They're one of the few stocks on my watch list that are in the green.
I mean, anyone that's not understanding what they're up to is under a rock. I don't know what I've been saying this for weeks on this show, and I've added to the position. I'm long a ton. But
I think what was almost more interesting was I saw quite a few banks got upgrade. J.P. Morgan being one of them. So you see J.P. Morgan up almost $2 pre-market when the entire market's kind of selling off. It's a much needed rotation. I don't know if it actually be a rotation. But
I don't think it's a long-term thing. These banks are in trouble.
Yeah, as I said the other day, I sold out of a lot of my banks. The only one I didn't is JP Morgan. I got out of everything else. So as I said, that's probably a good sign it's time to buy them.
Yeah, I mean, if you're thinking ahead and not looking at what's happening right now, perhaps it is. And then, Dad, I mean, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on Rocket, because from what I'm seeing, earnings were beyond insane. 400+% growth. I think it's just the stock has run up so much in the last few weeks that naturally there's going to be profit takers no matter what happens. And when you look at the day that even it had yesterday, I think this is a buying opportunity. I mean, this company is profiting billions and billions of dollars. Am I missing something?
Well, I think there were a couple of things that were disappointing in the call. One was the outlook, which is still insane, but not as good as this last quarter. And they didn't really have earnings per share. I think the analysts were looking for earnings, and they don't really have anything to compare to. So they kind of don't really feel comfortable. And I think that's why it sold off. I got caught with it because I told you guys I would go home long. So that turned out to be pretty much a disaster position. I bought more in the aftermarket in the 28s. So right now I brought my average down, but the lowest stock I bought was like 27 3/4, and it got down to close to 27 at one point. So it's pretty ugly. I don't know. We'll see how it opens.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of
big run up. It's had a huge run up.
It has,
and it did go to 35 yesterday, pre-market, by the way.
Did it?
Yeah, which we talked about, but I don't think.
Yeah, I've been trading in and out of it, but I did hold on to 1,000 shares heading into earnings, so that'll kind of be interesting to see how that plays out. I also saw more news on DraftKings this morning, where they formed an exclusive partnership with the Chicago Cubs. And then we were right on the money with DraftKings yesterday because we thought that it was overdone for the Michael Jordan story. And throughout the day, it kept trading lower and lower until a couple of analysts came on and said how much they like it. I think one guy said he thought it was great to have Jordan, and that kind of put the bottom in on the stock. And, now it's going to act like DraftKings again. Yeah, it was funny to watch that because, like you just said, if you had CNBC on, there were 2 times throughout the day where someone came on and started talking about DraftKings. And during that time, the stock just started rallying again within its intraday movement. So that was kind of crazy. I did see that Portnoy basically called out DraftKings yesterday, kind of saying that, he was obviously going hard at Michael Jordan, saying how he'll skunk him in the business world, and maybe on a basketball court one-on-one he would lose to Jordan, but in the business world he'll skunk him. And he said how he wakes up, and as soon as he sees the news with Michael Jordan joining DraftKings, he immediately pops Adderall just to get his mind going so he can think about what they're going to do in rebuttal. He's like, yeah, just immediately pop Adderall. He's like, this isn't sports, this is the real world, so you could do that. And I think he was kind of getting at, and it almost made me sit back and think about it. And I almost look now at DraftKings bringing on Jordan. Are they afraid of the Portnoy cult-like following and what's going to happen to that app when they come out with Penn National sports betting or whatever they're going to call it? I don't really know too much about what the app is going to offer as far as fantasy stuff or just sports betting.
I mean, if you're Penn, why would you not do the exact same thing as DraftKings? At the end of the day, if I'm them, I'm thinking, okay, what is it that they really offer that's unique? Nothing.
I agree, Mike, and that's where, as a shareholder,
DraftKings is in trouble with Portnoy's whole brand and everything. I love Michael Jordan. He's not Portnoy. At the end of the day, it's apples and oranges. Portnoy brings way more to the table when you look at the world we're in right now with young people, peer-to-peer gaming, where that's heading. I think you're going to see Penn doing the exact same thing DraftKings is doing with these, fantasy tournaments and all that stuff. And yeah, it's going to be like a McDonald's Burger King type of head-to-head.
Well, in that case, you can own both of them. I think you could own both of them then.
Yeah, you could. I think they're both great plays, but there's no doubt that they're going to be going head to head.
Yeah, no, I think in that race, I like Penn more, even though I'm going to hold both of them. So
I don't hold either right now. I made great money on both. I'm waiting for a correction to get back in both those stocks.
I actually, what I did? I was long. I stayed long a little bit of Donkey Kong, and then through 40, I bought it. And you had a chance in the aftermarket to sell it up to 70, but I didn't do it. I think it's still above 40, but
Yeah, it's at 42.
I feel like it wants to stay above 40, but the market might be tough today.
Yeah, I sold all my pen before the market opened, and then I bought back just like a small amount to own for good at $39.75. And
you mean DKNG? You said
yeah, DKNG. I'm actually right now not holding any pen, and I've been
I'm
looking
waiting.
for.
I'm going to get back on both of those when we actually have little wind out of the sails here in the market, because those are stocks that'll come down on a couple bad days.
Yeah, let's change it up though. Microsoft, which continues to be a great day trader if anyone's doing it. There are levels throughout the day that you could spot on your charts that turn into good opportunities. Like today, the stock is down, obviously, but 230.70 or so is a big gap. And that looks like if it breaks that, it's 230.60 to 70 is a nice purchase area on the upside. Right now, it's trading 229.87.
And Dad, yesterday you were saying that you liked this stock to 140, right?
Yeah, I do overall. I think.
You mean 240?
Yeah.
Sorry, 240.
Yeah, I think you could do a lot with this stock. I bought and sold yesterday. I sold some options against my long-term position when it got to a certain level. And obviously, if it breaks through 233, it's off to the races again. But that's not likely today unless something develops with TikTok. Then we talked about CARR, CARR. It had a really interesting day yesterday. And I don't know what's going on in the aftermarket because it looks like it was down, but really on no volume. But I'm looking for this stock to continue to be solid. Buy on weakness. That's that air conditioner one we talked about.
Yeah, I've been watching it. It's definitely a stock I plan on buying too. I know
I got in it yesterday. So I'm thinking this is more of a longer term play than a trading stock. But you might get opportunities to trade it.
Definitely doesn't trade on much volume, that's for sure.
Right.
And then I know I brought these guys up a little bit, but VG, which had the insider buying, they're trading at $11 this morning, down on a pullback. No news. Obviously, everything's pulling back, but this is a cloud name that hasn't quite participated in this rally yet, and their CEO, who used to be the CEO for AMD, just bought shares. And just something I've been watching. I don't own any yet, but I'm kind of keeping an eye on it. It's kind of a weird chart.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the chart. Speaking of insider trading, I noticed that Camper's World had insider buying the other day.
I mean, he's been relentlessly buying his own stock every day since it got slammed like a month ago. Literally every day. Marcus Lemonis.
Yeah, I don't know what that's about.
I like that.
Yeah, like that guy reminds me of you in the sense that he's the type of dude where any day his stock is down, regardless of just because it's taking a breather or anything, he's going to step in and be like, I'm buying this stock. Like, what are these people thinking?
Smart guy. Because he knows, he believes in what's going on. He knows the big picture, and he's just collecting checks.
Well, what I want to...
I mean, when you look at
when it was below 5?
What'd you say, Dad?
Did he buy it when the stock was below 5, or did he have a helmet on?
I honestly, I don't know.
I'm sure he bought. This guy is a big...
I'm sure he's buying.
That would be a good indication if he knows what he's doing.
I think he knows what he's doing, Dad. The guy's a billionaire. I think he has a couple things up his sleeve. Not the dumbest guy in the world by any means. He has his own show called The Prophet.
Which is a great show, by the way.
Yeah, I love that show. But looking at this chart, I know, the story right now is this is just not a sexy sector anymore. because, the whole movement of these summer stocks being hot because of the coronavirus, people want to get outside, just isn't what's popular. But I guarantee you this company is killing it. And I wonder if there's going to be a point where it does become popular again.
And what do they have any winter plays with cold weather? Like, is there anything that they can monetize that we haven't even thought about with this?
I want to know if they operate in countries where it's going to be summer now.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I just look at it like I think next earnings they'll probably have great earnings, and maybe that'll get the stock moving again. I mean, it's just not going to do anything up until then. But
you also might have a lot of people that have completely axed the whole, oh, we're not living in a normal conventional house anymore. We're shifting gears. So I wonder how many people have actually jumped into that bandwagon that might be in their next earnings with just the way things have shifted with housing.
Yeah,
is there a level where you would buy this stock? It's basically pulled back over 20% from its highs.
Well, I guess you could make a case for anywhere between 25 and 28 and 3/4 would be.
I mean, the fact that he keeps buying, there must be something.
That's a long way off, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard because this is the type of market where it's just so hard fighting the momentum stocks that are working, because you feel like an idiot being patient in this market because you're watching these stocks go up 50, 60, 80% in such a short amount of time. And then you're sitting on names that aren't going anywhere, knowing like, let me just jump the train here. What am I doing? And that's where I ultimately, I mean, it's been tough. I've been sitting on some positions that are just completely dead in the water.
Like BP.
Yeah, but you know what? When you, Camper's World is in the same kind of category as Winnebago. And Winnebago's chart is similar, but I think it looks like it's a little healthier than the other.
What's the ticker?
WGO. I mean, we've talked about this on the show.
Yeah.
So the high was in the 70s, and now it's come all the way off to 54. It's had a nice retracement, and it's not bad here. It's right on its 200-day. If you look at the daily chart.
And I mean, I feel like it'd be probably a good idea for us to come up with almost a little short shopping list of stocks that we could get into if there is about to be a 5 to 6%, maybe even a 10% pullback, like in tech stocks, for example. I know we were talking about the RS levels yesterday, and now, you're looking at some of these stocks. I mean,
Honeywell is a good one. I got back in that on Monday. I know that's a big Kramer stock. I think HON, that's just been an absolute beast. And I think even in a sell-off, when you think about what they are, this is a great staple.
Well, this was added to the Dow, so a lot of the strength in the last few days is based on that. But it's had a nice move.
Yeah.
I'd be a little hesitant right here, but.
Well, I might actually sell it today and get back in on another pullback. I've made a quick buck again on this stock, and it's acted like a growth stock for me the 2 times I've been in it, which is remarkable.
Yeah, it's it's definitely, and it's also a stock that, on a day where the market's down is possibly a little bit safer than some other ones. Like I see it's basically flat, even up a little bit pre-market. So that's an interesting one. The other one that's been seems like almost a safe stock to be in when the market's not necessarily doing well, or even on days like yesterday, is DuPont, DD.
I'm in DD.
Yeah, I know we've talked about them a little bit on here. But
yeah, DuPont broke away.
They've been acting well. They've been starting to get their act together.
Yeah. Dad, what did you say?
No, DuPont made, a new high recently, yesterday. It broke through. So it looks like it's got some room maybe to, 62 to 63. We're in there somewhere.
NLOK, I know there's another charitable Kramer Trust one that we're in. That's been.
What's the symbol, Mike?
NLOK. That's another one I own.
Yeah, the Norton Lock. I own some of that too. It seems like it does nothing but go up.
I don't have a symbol. NOOK.
I got more of this.
Yeah, it's NLOK. I have it up here.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah, it's chugging away. And I've mentioned many times Mosaic. This chart is really looking interesting.
I have yet to buy this. I want to buy it, and so next time when you text us, you own a Mosaic, I could be like, yeah, I do, Dad. I'm sick of hearing these texts of these stocks I'm not in.
This is a great example of this pennant formation if you look at the daily chart.
So is this a good day to jump in this?
Well, I don't know about today, but you got to keep an eye on this thing. It seems to be good in the low 18s if you can grab it. And at some point, I think it'll work its way to 22.
And two stocks that I know we've talked about a decent amount on this show, but that are just absolutely, I don't want to say breaking out, but they're just acting really well. Twitter and Snapchat. I mean,
yeah, Snapchat really acted well yesterday.
Yeah, and Twitter acted even better. Twitter is like kind of in full-on breakout mode here.
And one election. Yeah, definitely part of it. Intel, another one, which has been beaten down. It broke through the level that it started the downfall after the earnings.
Unfortunately. What'd you say, Mike?
I'm not a fan of Intel. I look at this as just not something I have any interest in personally.
I mean, when you see what's been going on with stocks like NVIDIA, it's tough to allow.
I'll get back in NVIDIA on a pullback. I'm not touching it.
I will say I had an order on the breakout yesterday and missed it by like 10 cents. It was kind of frustrating.
It looked
basically
good.
Saw that happen in real time when it spiked. I was like, oh man. But and then Fiverr has kind of fallen off the map here, which is crazy because I know yesterday pre-market we were looking at them. We're like, oh, they're an all-time high. Let's look at this. And then they sold off hard yesterday. They were down over 10% at one point.
Wow.
Clawed back a little, but now they're down another almost $5 this morning. No news. I think, Dad, you talked about how stretched the stock was.
Right. It's going to make its way back to at least the 50-day, which is 96.
So I'm holding off getting back in this then until it dips more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, stocks that have had those huge moves, you got to start looking
like Zillow is another one. It went up yesterday at one point over 92, then drops under 90. I mean, I could see that thing falling a bit more before it goes on a new run too.
Yeah, and it's still way above the 50-day.
Yeah, Zillow never got that volume from the DB upgrade yesterday, which was kind of crazy.
It's run up like crazy when you think about it. It's run up like crazy. Before earnings, this thing was in the mid-60s. So it's not like that upgrade. When you really think about it, that's great. But this thing needs to kind of come back to life a little bit, I think, before it goes on that next tear.
Yeah, either that or it leaves these levels in the dust for good and just gets to a whole nother area. And
I don't see that. I think with the whole situation with the evictions and what's going to happen with the housing, I think this stock is great, but there's been the best news possible baked in based on the last few months. And now I don't know. I've made great money on Zillow. I'm not in it currently, but I'm waiting to get back in. I haven't really felt the way I did the last couple of weeks to jump in hard again. I feel like there's going to be some sort of sell-off where this thing drops below 80 again.
Yeah, and the one I wanted to mention today, what's going on with Bitcoin?
I mean,
whatever's going on, if it's down, you should buy some.
Why? What's it at? I rarely check it.
It's down like over 600 today.
Perfect. I'm buying more. Thank you.
So you have
under 11,000. This is perfect. I would actually wait. Bitcoin's probably going to drop below 10,000. Look, I've been following it like literally white on rice. Expect this to dip another 1,000 points, maybe 1,200, around 9,600. I would throw the kitchen sink at it.
I just wonder what people are looking at with this. Is gold down big today by any chance?
I don't really care what they're looking at. It's a big world play for the future of humanity. So
it's not down big, but it's down a little. Look, I think with Bitcoin, the only way, I mean, I own Bitcoin, but if I'm looking to get in Bitcoin right now, I'm probably only playing it on breakouts. Like if it gets to new highs and shows that it's like just on its way to the moon, then that's where I want to say like, hop on a momentum. No, that's exactly what I want to say. Hop on a momentum trade because like this stock seems to have movements a couple times a year, and you're either in them or you're not. But
I would get in if this dips another 1,000 points. I think that's a safety net to go hard. I expect this to go down to like mid 9,000s.
Yeah, gold is down less than 0.5%. So I don't know what's going on with Bitcoin. There was talk that another cryptocurrency was outgunning it. What's the other one that's big, Mike?
Which Ethereum. One? Ethereum?
Yeah.
What do you mean outgunning it?
Well, it's just been doing better than Bitcoin.
I own Ethereum.
Ethereum's down even more than Bitcoin this morning.
Interesting.
Yeah, if you want to play the crypto, there's only 4. I own Tezos, Chainlink, Ethereum, and Bitcoin. Those are the heavyweights, and there's plenty of speculation around a bunch of other coins and where we're heading with all that, but they all intersect. And there's Bitcoin and Ethereum are both behemoths. They're not affecting one another in terms of one going up, the other going down. It's irrelevant. It's not like they're competitors. So,
well, if you look at Bitcoin like a stock, it's trading right at it. It got down to its 50-day today. The 200-day is 94.88.
Yeah, I don't look at this as a stock at all. So I
don't. But a lot of people only trade these things on technicals.
That's great. Yeah. Until they understand what it's actually doing, and then technicals mean nothing. Just like Beyond Meat, we'll see the technicals mean nothing.
Like stocks, though, the way people look at
I get it. But when you really want to, if you see through that crap with some of this stuff, it's how you make a fortune. Technicals are great until they mean nothing when something's bigger than a chart. And there are certain situations like we've seen with Tesla, we'll see with Beyond Meat. You have rare exceptions. Bitcoin's one of them.
Yeah, well, the strength of the sell-off would tell me to wait and not get in here.
Well, I said wait till it dips to 9,600 area.
Well, 94.88 is the 200-day right now.
There you go. Close enough.
So if you want it,
let's just do a quick update on the markets here. Still, not much has changed since we first got on here, except I guess non-technology stocks have rallied a little bit. It looks like you have some industrial names. Boeing's now positive. JP Morgan is looking like it's going to be up. DraftKings and Penn are both up. And other than that, not other than that, there's a lot of stocks up, but as far as my watch list, it's kind of a sea of red. I see Royal Cruise Line's up. It's going to be interesting to see what happens today. Wouldn't shock me if the market rallies just like it does every other day. But you almost need, I think the market wants to see a pullback. It would cheer it on. It would make this whole thing seem more legit. I think people are starting to question the integrity of the market if it just goes up every single day.
It's a melt-up, man. I think we all know at the end of the day, there's even when you look at these job numbers, and my whole thing, I know a couple people in the airline industry that have been furloughed and, long-term stewardess and that whole game. Like, I just think we're in for a rude awakening here with this recovery just being a super V. I think and I'm as optimistic as they come in the world, but the reality is this has been next level best case scenario, and we're in for a reality check. On one end, the virus still has some unknowns, even though I think we'll be good there. Trump is not a shoo-in to be reelected, and that's what the market's been acting like the last few days, where all of a sudden it's like, oh, this guy's winning. He's still behind in the polls. So if that ends up being the case where Biden wins, we're going to see a huge sell-off short term from that news coming back into play. And, I just am not feeling great short term. This is why I've been slowly getting out of margin completely and getting myself set up for a pullback.
I think Bob uses these types of conversations as indicators to go harder in the market when he hears us feel all hesitant.
I just had everyone hitting me up offline being like, oh, I'm up big, blah, blah. Every time that happens is when I'm like, I need to sell, because that's a prelude to a sell-off. The last 3-4 years, that happens every time.
I've been selling and getting longer cash. I mean, I'm never in margin. But
why would you be? At your age, I wouldn't be either. But you got to take risks when you're young.
But I think you should use any opportunity to sell in this market until we have a clearer look at what it's going to look like.
Well, what even the world's going to look like with this whole, like, where are we actually heading here? Are we all going to be in a pod, not needing to make money, or are we getting back to pre-pandemic days? I'm very curious to see what the world is actually going to turn into.
Well, look, here, the bullish scenario is simple. They have testing that is available to everyone for $5 or less. And the various vaccines that start operating November 1st, let's go with Trump on that. Trump wins the election and capital gains stay the same or even get better.
Or they completely go away.
Well, anyway, that's the backdrop for the best possible news you can have, virus.
But even with all even with best case scenario there, that doesn't mean the economy is just gung-ho.
Well, I think it would be gung-ho with that, because on top of it, there will be some type of stimulus for the infrastructure.
But won't that happen regardless of who's in office?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And that's going to happen next year, no matter who wins. If the Democrats win, it'll be bigger, depending on Congress. But if the Republicans win, it'll still be there. So that's all going to be helpful. But the background of all this is the deficit, which we talk about all the time, and why you're in Bitcoin. And that, to me, is the biggest negative overriding everything going forward.
Yeah, it seems like, and we'll wrap it up on that point, but it does seem like more and more reputable people are starting to question the entire, like the integrity of the entire markets with just everything happening with the Fed and the interest rates. And, I hear more and more people saying if the Fed steps out of the way at all, this market is just a house of cards. We'll see what happens. Have a good day, everyone. Make some money.